Alright, so real quick, everything looks like it's working fine. Um, so what I would suggest is turn the color off from the shader that you're working with and just see if you're getting what I'm getting, because I didn't change anything. The map that I exported out looks very similar to the map we were exporting out from ZBrush yesterday. This is it just straight hooked up. And you can see I'm getting pretty much all the details that you're getting in your map. I did notice they do feel a little soft over here, so they feel a little soft over here as well. You can see it here with just kind of a Lambert. When I add some specularity to it, we start to see some of those details more. I could spread out the amount of that specularity. So if I take in the hypershade, let me go close it. No. So in the hypershade, if I just take my roughness and maybe put it to like 0.7, we can render that. And you'll see we'll get a little bit closer to the type of specularity that we're seeing over here. So the options that you kind of have from this point, if you're not, like if you want to see the details more, I would maybe concentrate on them over in ZBrush, because like I said, they are showing up here, and even you see with the hair, they seem pretty much spot on to what we're seeing over in ZBrush here. So it's going to be basically lighting and material that's going to bring those things out more. So over in ZBrush, what you could do is play with mask by cavity. So masking and mask by cavity. So you can do this a couple different times. Play with the curve profile and the blur, but basically you only want to get your mask kind of in those crevices, and then what you can do is inflate it inwards to help you with, you know, making those details a little bit deeper, pronounced a little bit more. So right here is kind of your cavity profile. So if you just slightly adjust that curve a little bit, mask by cavity, do it again, you'll see it'll start getting kind of more of those details, right? So you just kind of want to get as many of those details as you kind of can. And you can go ahead and do some research on the mask by cavity, but then if I were to inverse this, then I can take the deformation and inflate in a negative direction. So we can try that, clear the mask. And that looks a little bit better, but the mask by cavity maybe isn't getting what we needed. The other thing that you could do is reapply what you had before, and then just go through and try to improve or deepen the wrinkles in certain areas. And we definitely got a little deeper look out of those. Like from here, if we go a couple steps back. Okay, so you can see, if we look here, and we jump here, you can see the wrinkles are getting a little more crisp, a little more tight. So if you play with that mask by intensity and you get just the right values, that could potentially work. But it does look like everything is coming over. The sculpt does looks like what it does inside of ZBrush. Um, Potentially we could turn this exposure up a little bit, and maybe that would help bring them out more. It's kind of dark right now. But those are kind of the things that I would be looking at. So keep following that skin video. Double check, like turn off your textures and just make sure yours at least looks like mine, so we know that you're getting the displacement over. So you can see all that detail starting to come into these areas where you have it. So definitely working. We might just need to tweak it. And also, as we up our sampling values, the details will get refined kind of more and more, right? Because the higher you sample, the more that finite detail comes out. So right now, my sampling set to 128. If I go to 256, it'll look more and more like what we're seeing over inside of ZBrush. Because as you saw at the beginning when it started rendering, we could barely see any of those details, and now we're starting to see them more and more through here. So if I put my sampling up to like 1024, which would be closer to what your final renders will be, all those details should pop out. We're getting the moles, we're getting the details down in the neck. I'm seeing those creases around the lips now. I'm starting to see more of that wrinkling between the eyebrows. Those crow's feet are starting to pop out more. Um, so now that I up my lighting, I can see more of those wrinkles. If I'm not seeing enough of those wrinkles refined and the pores, uh, then I could change my sampling, and that would potentially bring more of those out. So everything looks to be working fine. So I'll talk to you more Wednesday. You can let me know if you got things working.